Hello guys, Jumbo, Mambo, wherever you are, welcome back. It's been a few days since I posted. So kama umekuwa ukingoja, I'm back, and today I'm so excited because I've been doing some research on this country and finally I've found all the content I need, and it's Australia. So kama umekuwa interested, if you've wanted to migrate to Australia, I've got a few things that I'm going to tell you. When you go to the website, you'll see everything that you need to know, but sometimes you need just someone else to sort of like tell you in words that you would understand. And sometimes I like to think, I try to do that. I read all the information, I process it, and then I tell you in the best way possible that I can, So I am so excited to be speaking about Australia. Australia has a very, very good visa or interesting visa system. It's a bit similar to Canada. There's a few points about Australia that sound like Canada, and they are very attractive to foreigners who want to go and work in Australia. And I found a very, very interesting type of visa that I'm going to tell you about. So hang with me until the end of this video to learn more about how you can immigrate to Australia. You can self-sponsor yourself and take your family. No job offer, no work experience, just your degree, and let's hang on to the end. So come with me. One of the worst things that COVID did to us is it made most countries, including Australia, shut down the borders. Like Australia just completely said no one's coming in. So many foreign workers were not able to move over there. But then now that things are opening back up, they need the economy to go and grow again. And it's a very, very big economy. It needs to be run 24/7. And they need a consistent workforce. So they've opened back up and they've got this very, very interesting visa. It's called the Skilled Independent Visa Subclass 189. And before we go very far, let me just tell you that it's a points-tested stream. So when it comes to Canada, they have a point-based immigration system. UK as well, US, they all have that. And in Australia, it's no different. It goes with points, where you lie when you're applying for this, and then that's how you know your eligibility. So hang on until the end to find out if you're eligible for this. With this new visa, you can stay in Australia permanently. You can work and study in Australia. You can register yourself to their Medicare, which is like the NHS in the UK. You can sponsor your relatives to come to Australia. You can travel to and from Australia for 5 years, and of course, you can become a citizen of Australia, depending on how long you've stayed there and other eligibility requirements. They always have something else that you need to do, and that. But then if you get this visa, you can stay in Australia permanently. I think that's very interesting. I don't have that option in the UK. I have to keep applying for another spousal visa before I become a citizen. But then if you're looking to migrate under this visa, you can just book from Kenya to Australia, become a permanent resident, and then later you can apply for citizenship. I think that's quite interesting. You can apply for the visa from within Australia or from outside Australia. Another interesting thing about this visa is you become a permanent resident from the minute you're given the visa. You don't need to get another visa, go to Australia, and then start applying for permanent residency like most other countries do. Once you get this visa, whether you're in Australia or outside, you just become a permanent resident of Australia. So you travel as a permanent resident of Australia. There are some eligibility requirements that your family will need to meet. For example, health and character requirements. They'll have to also go through a certain system to ensure that they are able to immigrate with you. And you have to tell the Australian government before they make a decision on your visa. You can't, for example, get the permanent residency and then you decide to tell them about your family. You'll have to explain why you didn't include them in the first place. For example, are they already residents in Australia, or what was the issue for you not telling them? Which I think is not easy, so you'd rather just tell them from the word go anyway. The visa costs 4,115 Australian dollars, and for each applicant that you add onto your application, you'll have to pay a certain amount for them. So that one is where you go to the website and you're going to find out all the information. But that's the price for the visa that you'll need to cover in order to be able to immigrate to Australia. The reason I find this interesting is because, like, most people would tell you, I have skills, I have the money, but I don't know how I can immigrate. And so far we've been speaking about Canada, we've been speaking about low skill level jobs and how you can go there and then you can improve after, you know, like you can start applying for jobs in your own field. But this is actually interesting because if you already have a qualification, that is your degree, you have passed the English test, you have all the, you know, there are people who are just naturally bright and they don't know how they can immigrate, and they have the money, for example, or they can sort of like sell an asset or whatever to get the money in order to be able to immigrate. They don't know what they can do. So as long as the job that you're going to do in Australia is in the skilled shortage list, and I'm going to tell you how to find this shortage list. As long as it's in the shortage list, then you can put yourself forward to be considered for this visa. Another interesting thing about it, you have to be invited to apply for the visa. You don't go and just start applying. You have to go through this points tested system, and then once you reach the eligibility points, and I'm going to tell you how as well, once you reach the eligibility points, then you are invited to apply for the visa. And for you to be invited at that point, my friend, you start booking your flights. Okay, don't book your flights, but just be ready to fly out, because they can't invite you and then sort of say nah, unless you've really not met the eligibility requirements. And then once you've been invited, apply. And I'm thinking that is a very good point to be at as a skilled worker who's going to work in a career that's been put in the shortage list. Yeah, I've spoken a lot of words. If you're going to apply from within Australia, you have to be within a certain category of visa in order to be able to apply. Not just any visa, it has to be a certain category of visa. But if you're from outside the Australia, anything. As long as you're not in immigration clearance, then you can apply. The length of time it takes for your visa to be processed depends on how quickly you are in responding. For example, if they ask for an extra document, how quick are you in responding to them? It can take up to 90 days, it can take 53 days, it can take 36 months. That's what they say is the biggest number of days that you can wait for. But I think as long as I'm waiting for something, then it's a good thing. When it comes to this visa, it's not given to you digitally, like they don't print it on your passport, they just link it digitally to your passport. So for example, like myself, I'm in the UK, but I don't have like a visa that's stamped in my passport. It's just digital. What I have is a BRP card. So I think for Australia there's also a different system where they link your passport digitally to the visa that you've been given, but they don't necessarily print it there. And then for the eligibility of staying in Australia, it will be for 5 years. You can stay there for 5 years. You can travel in and out wherever, if you want to go for holidays or wherever. Yeah. And then I think another thing that you should really look at is the time difference between where you're coming from and when you're going to Australia. It's a big change. I don't know if you've ever seen, but on the globe, like Australia is on the other side of the world. I didn't want to speak about Europe I had a lot of information about Europe, and I think I'll put that on hold for now, just in terms of the peace things that are happening. And let's speak about Australia for a bit. Let's speak about Canada. Let's speak about other countries. And for now, this is Australia. So how do you apply for this very amazing visa? At first, you have to submit an expression of interest. An expression of interest. I'm going to put a link in the description that you can click on, the EOI, that's what it's called. And that's where you're going to submit your expression of interest. After that, once they've assessed, then you can become eligible to apply by being invited to apply. So once they've invited you to apply, you have to apply within 60 days. But let me walk you through the steps of how you know that you're eligible to submit your EOI. That's the expression of interest. People who have a degree or they have qualifications in the fields of accounting or engineering sometimes are preferred over others, but it doesn't mean that the others are not. I'm always saying this. If you're in these fields, you could be preferred over others and you could have an added advantage. So these are the skill sets that you need in order to be able to apply. When it comes to your skills assessment, which is a very important part of this, of knowing whether you're going to be accepted for the visa, visa. Remember, most of them are looking at assessments based on Australian education. So for example, previous students in Australian universities could be assessed better than us who, for example, studied from Kenya. So I don't know how this levels us against other candidates who've studied, for example, in New Zealand or in Britain or wherever. But then the good thing is, for these candidates, they have other visa options that they can explore. But for us, because this is one of the best visa options for us in the third world, then most likely we're going to be not so many from the world applying under this visa. So it means that we stand a chance of getting it based on the other points, which I'm going to talk about. For example, age. If you are between, let's say, 25 to 33, then you already have a good points pool. And you remember, you just have to get to 65 points and above of all the points that they're going to be using to calculate. They do this point-based system. And if you've looked at immigration videos from other people, they would be speaking about points. And sometimes I've been seeing them and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to learn that. But now that I've learned about Australia, it's actually not difficult to learn about these points-based immigration systems. So for example, if I'm 25 to 33 years, I stand a good chance. I shouldn't be above 45 unless I applied before I was 45 and they're still considering and I've hit 45, then I could be considered for it. So if I'm above 33, it reduces like 5 points. If I'm below 25, it reduces a few points. So you have to be within that. And then when it comes to English, the English test, you need to score above 6. You know, if you've done IELTS, you've done whatever, you need to score above 6. They're going to use all these when you are submitting your EOI that I've spoken about, and they're going to give you points. So if you score above 65, you stand a very good chance. With the IELTS, you can do the IELTS academic or general training. I think I've done general training, and I said I didn't need to do any training for it. I just went and did the exam, and I think I scored above 8. So don't be worried, don't be scared when you're going to do these exams. If you fail, try them again, and eventually you're going to get, because you're going to learn how they do the exams anyway. I remember the environment was like super tense and just people really scared and sweating away. But I think because I was always like a bit I was good at English anyway, so I didn't find it difficult to do the essays. I didn't find it difficult to do the listening and that, and I'm so glad I passed, which at the end, as I always say, I was sitting the wrong exam. I can't believe I passed the wrong exam. So for IELTS, you need to get at least 6 of all the 4 components. There's reading, listening, writing, and what's the other one? Reading, speaking. Yeah, you need to get above 6. There's also TOEFL, I think that's what it's called, and I've seen people doing it when they're going to America, blah blah blah. You can also do it when you're going to Australia, and you need to have at least 12 for listening, 13 for reading, 21 for writing, and 18 for speaking. I had to read them out because yeah. You can also do the occupational English test, and you have to score at least a B. There's also the Cambridge C1 advanced test, where you have to get at least 169 in each of the 4 components, or the Pearson test of English academic, PTE, at least 50 for each of the 4 components. So it's not a very big requirement. If you study for it, if you know that you're not good in English, just study for it, pass it, and then you'll have a good chance of getting through and getting lots of points. You also need to meet a health requirement. If you owe the Australian government money, you need to pay it back. That's what they say. I don't know in what case you should be only owing the Australian government money, but if you do, you need to pay it back. Also, you need to not have a visa refused by them or cancelled by them. So you need to have this clean record for you to have good points. And then you need to sign the Australian values statement. And after that, after doing all these, you can then see how eligible you are to submit your interest in being considered for the visa, because once they consider, they're going to invite you to apply. I can't insist this enough. So let's walk through this visa application step by step. Step 1, before you apply, you are going to submit your expression of interest. and that's why they're going to use a skill select system and see how you rate against other candidates who are applying for the same. Step 2, you will need to provide the documents that are going to support your claim, your EOI. You're going to have the documents that are going to support your claim. Step 3, you will apply for the visa. Now it means they've invited you to apply for the visa, and you're going to put in your application within 60 days of being invited to do this visa application. You know how we Kenyans like to wait until the last minute? No, you're going to do it as soon as you can, because if they want to ask you for extra documents and this and that, then you need to be able to provide them within the set limits. And as soon as you provide them, then you can receive your answer quicker than someone who is actually still waiting or still providing documents. Step 4 is after you apply, they will let you know that they are processing your visa, and that they'll let you know after they've made a decision. And then step 5, you will get your visa outcome, and if it's positive, then you can be able to migrate, you and your family. And like I always say, you could migrate by yourself, start working, and then bring in your family later. But during the time of application, remember to tell them about your family. Now, please remember, guys, that this is an immigration system based on your level of skill. It has to be a skilled job. So the shortage list has up to 674 occupations from what I've seen online on their website. And as I've said, I'm going to put it in my description so that you can go through it. So it would be people like pilots, health workers, aeronautical engineers. Just as long as it's skilled, you need to have you need to have a skill in that area. You can have work experience, you cannot have work experience, it doesn't matter, as long as in the point system you score up to 80. So remember when I spoke about the points and I said age, I said about health, I said about this and that. So all of them will give you points. And if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments, and I'm going to do a video specifically on these points and how we can count them down, and how I can show you exactly where you lie, according to your age, according to your health, whatever, what they mean, how many points they give you, and where you lie at the end of their assessment. Okay? Yeah, so if you have a degree, then this is for you. Don't apply for it if you think that your requirement for education, for example, doesn't meet, because it's just like a waste of time, because it's for skilled workers. I don't want to speak anymore. That's enough for now. Now, if in an unfortunate scenario they denied your visa, they will tell you why they've denied the visa. I've always found this to be useful, because I have been denied a visa, and once they tell me why it's been refused, then I would know how to go back to the drawing board and see what I can provide. So sometimes a rejection is not really a bad thing, because it puts you on the right perspective and it makes you start afresh with a clear mind. Remember, they don't refund you, so you need to be able to apply once you have the necessary documents. There are people who get lawyers. If you need to speak to me further about this, if you're in the process of applying for it, then I'll be happy to speak to you. Just go into likersnewlife.com, click on the form and fill it up, and let me know about your case, and yeah, I'll be happy to speak to you about anything that you would like me to speak about. So that's all I'm going to speak about today with regards to the Australian immigration visa, the 189. So next time I'm going to speak more about this. If you see me wearing this top, just know that I've recorded them on the same day, because I'm on a marathon. I want to give you as much information as possible, and we can start applying for jobs and stuff, and migrate when we can. Yeah, so I'll see you next time in the next video. Keep it here. Remember to subscribe, like, comment. I always like it when I read your comments. Thank you so much. Yeah, ciao.